Welcome back to another story on Whispered Tales. Now, let's dive into today's story.
The city never slept. Not because its people stayed awake, but because the data never stopped moving. In the year 2020, at the highest tier of the supercity known as Neo District 7, holographic billboards floated in midair, flooding the streets with non-stop pitches for AI-driven life insurance, one-tap smart contracts, and biometric credit systems. Above, traffic control drones glided like flocks of metallic birds. Below, streaks of blue and violet neon shimmered across the murky water-pooled and road gutters, making the entire district look like a giant basin of shifting colors. Olivia Ward stood inside the glass conference chamber of the Ministry of Digital Finance, her fingers slightly trembling though her eyes remained perfectly steady. Dozens of AR panels hovered along the walls, projecting charts of risk, liquidity flows, and financial crisis simulations across multiple scenarios. At the center of the room, a massive data sphere rotated slowly, each glowing point representing a loan, a policy, or a life insurance contract. So it's settled. The synthesized voice of the government's central AI resonated through the room, blending with the hum of cooling fans from the nearby server hall. Your module, the AI Financial Risk Assessment Engine, has passed every benchmark. The smart contract is now active. A notification floated across Olivia's AR display. Smart Contract 7710 activated. Transfer 170 million credits wallet. Olivia.w. Even though she had imagined this moment many times, her heart kicked hard against her ribs. She blinked, and her AR contact lenses recorded the spike in her pulse, transmitting the data to the health implant at her neck, where pharmaceutical nanocircuits tracked her biochemistry. "Thank you," Olivia said. Her voice was dry but polite. From now on, any anomalies within the lending and insurance systems will be flagged at least 3 months in advance. A line of glowing text appeared in the air. "Society is grateful for minds like yours." The conference room door slid open, and Mira stepped in with her familiar half-smile. "There she is, the star of Neo District 7, Mira teased. "It's done, right? 170 million credits. Planning to share a little with me?" Olivia exhaled, letting her shoulders relax for the first time that morning. "Send me that list of skybars you keep bragging about," she said. "Tonight, I'm treating everyone." Mira whistled. "Worth dropping every contract I'm juggling. Think ARIN will show up." Olivia hesitated for a beat. ARIN. His name flashed through her mind like an old script still running in the background. "Yes," she said. "He said he had a surprise for me." Mira raised a brow, curious, but too seasoned in blockchain security to pry, especially when money and systems were involved. After the formalities wrapped, Olivia walked out of the ministry building and merged into the flow of people moving along the skywalk, a transparent elevated pathway suspended over the district. Far below, autonomous vehicles moved like chips sliding along a circuit board. In the distance, the prism-shaped tower of Nexus Chain shimmered with its pulsing emblem. Nexus Chain, the brainchild of ARIN Cole. Her mind drifted back to their first meeting at a conference on blockchain and legal AI frameworks. ARIN had stood on stage in a black leather jacket, speaking with sharp humor as he mocked traditional banks and aging financial gatekeepers. He talked about freedom, about personal ownership of data and assets without middlemen. Olivia, then just an anonymous AI engineer tucked at the back of the hall, frowned at his recklessness, but she couldn't deny his charisma. It began with debates, then late nights sketching system architectures on whiteboards. One thing led to another, and eventually, during a citywide blackout, they kissed under the soft glow of backup servers. Not that any of that appeared in a smart contract, but there was one digital trace, one link between them still buried in the system. Years ago, while testing an early AI life insurance platform, Olivia had needed to fill in a sample beneficiary. On impulse, careless, playful, tired, she typed, "ARIN.Cole." She shrugged, thinking, it's just a test, and forgot about it. Until now, when that test contract, due to bureaucratic quirks, had been swept into the live system. Still there, still valid. A quiet line of code unnoticed among billions. At the same time, in an office several blocks away, Aaron Cole sat alone on the 42nd floor of the Nexus Chain Tower. His screens were filled not with colorful data spheres, but with rows of angry red alerts. Security breach, wallet cluster hashtag NXC 201. Loan contracts overdue, 32. Shadow lender. Demand notice, 24 hours left. Aaron leaned back, gripping a cup of cold coffee. His hair was unkempt, dark circles carved under his eyes. Nothing like the polished entrepreneur featured in magazine spreads. "Don't be foolish, Aaron," a man's voice said through the desk speaker, distorted by heavy encryption. "You know how our network works. We don't care about excuses like, 'we were hacked.' We care about repayment." "I'm handling it," Aaron replied, trying to keep his voice calm. "We can restructure." A short laugh cut him off. "You understand blockchain and still talk like it's the 20th century. Smart contracts don't negotiate. They execute. 24 hours from now, if the loans aren't settled, the collateral will be liquidated. If that doesn't cover it, well, you know." The call ended, leaving only the whisper of the ventilation system. Aaron stared at the line. 24 hours left. A small icon blinked on his peripheral screen, a notification from one of the legal AI nodes he'd been illicitly monitoring. Target, Olivia.w. Insurance contract, active. Default beneficiary, Aaron.Cole. Aaron closed his eyes, nausea rising. He had forgotten about that policy. A joke, a careless input, no longer meaningless. In a world where assets operated through code, death wasn't just biological, it was a trigger. Once a medical AI confirmed someone's passing, dozens of contracts executed automatically. Assets, shares, access rights, all redirected. If Olivia died, those 170 million credits would flow straight into Aaron's wallet. He opened another window, accessing her digital medical file, not through official channels. He had helped configure her health implant years ago and kept a small, hidden backdoor. Her health interface unfolded on screen, a miniature map of her body with glowing pathways marking blood flow and nanopharmacy nodes. In the corner sat her health assistant AI, monitoring everything from sleep to stress. Just a few lines of code, just enough to increase nanodosage at the right times. The system would read it as a natural cardiovascular event, common in high-stress jobs like hers. "No," he whispered. But then the warnings from earlier flashed through his memory. The overdue loans, the shadow lenders, 24 hours. He placed his hand on the virtual keyboard, accessing Health Assistant/dosage module. Backdoor, Aaron 01. Accepted. Edit mode enabled. Code cascaded down like neon highways. Aaron inhaled deeply and began typing. He didn't touch the maximum lethal thresholds. He only nudged dosage curves. Imperceptible, subtle increases each day, pushing Olivia's heart closer to its limit. A faint warning appeared. Risk increase, 3.2%, cardiovascular. Aaron smirked. "Risk," he murmured. "She sells risk to the government." He saved. Update by Aaron. Override dosage/schedule. Daily 2100 hours. He shut the screen and stood. His reflection in the glass showed a man different from the glossy magazine covers. Sharper eyes, harsher lines. Behind him, the Nexus Chain logo cast a cold blue glow across his skin. "Just a medical accident," he whispered. "A natural death in an overloaded city." That evening, the sky above Neo District 7 looked like a frame from a science fiction film. The Halo 21 skybar hovered between towers, connected by a transparent bridge. From there, people could see the entire district, street grids, neon signs, streams of traffic, and emergency drones weaving through the air. Olivia walked in wearing a simple black dress, her hair tied neatly back. Mira and several teammates were already there, sipping color-changing cocktails that matched their heartbeats. "The richest AI engineer I know," a colleague toasted. "Cheers to your historic contract." Olivia smiled and accepted a glass. A subtle notification popped into her view. Health Assistant, daily nano dosage, due in 10 minutes. She tapped her temple and opened the implant interface. A simple graph showed her dosage for the evening, ready for confirmation. Routine. Ordinary. She trusted the system. She had even once bragged to Aaron that this implant represented the future, health issues prevented before they emerged. "Sorry I'm late," Aaron said behind her. She turned. White shirt, gray jacket, He looked like he'd stepped straight out of a high-tech commercial. The neon reflections in his eyes made them appear deeper, harder to read. "You're the second star tonight," she said. "Without Nexus Chain, my system wouldn't run this smoothly." "Don't drag me into your government project," ARIN joked. "Tonight is about you, and your 170 million credits." They clinked glasses. Beneath their feet, the city pulsed like a living circuit. Olivia watched him for a moment longer than usual. Something was off, not in his smile or his words, but in the tiny lag between what he said and what his eyes showed. "You all right?" she asked. "Fine," he said too quickly. "Just some Nexus Chain loan issues. Nothing serious. No work talk tonight." Another notification surfaced. "Nano dosage ready. Tap to confirm." Olivia excused herself and walked to the quieter edge of the skybar, where a glass wall revealed the deep drop toward the lower slums far below. She enlarged her implant interface, engineer instinct. She always liked checking the details. Instead of tapping confirm, she swiped to the system logs. Recent updates appeared, each one a small automated adjustment. Update by system, auto-adjust stress factor. Update by system, sleep pattern correction. Then her eyes caught something. Update by ARIN, override dosage / timestamp. Today 1532. For a moment, the sounds of the skybar faded into silence, as if someone had dimmed the world. All she heard was her heartbeat, loud, firm, disbelieving, while the name ARIN glowed on her display, brighter than any neon sign outside. His name was inside her body, where it should never have been. Part 1, Chapter 2, 1300 to 1500 words. Olivia stays silent, starts checking the system. ARIN keeps tampering with the implant. The city below still glowed like a living maze of light, but to Olivia it suddenly felt very far away. The neon lines flowing beneath the glass floor of the skybar blurred in and out with the rhythm of her unsteady breathing. Her AR lenses automatically adjusted contrast to stabilize her vision, but her mind was anything but stable. She pulled the implant interface wide open again, staring at that line of text as if sheer focus could change it, half hoping she had misread or that the system had glitched. Update by ARIN, override dosage. Message, dosage curve modified. It couldn't be a simple display error. The attached signature was unmistakable, ARIN's digital key, verified, clean. It couldn't be forged unless someone had access to his private key. And Olivia knew just how careful ARIN was with his private keys. If the system was showing this, it meant he had really done it. Not some frame job. Not an overactive AI. His own hands had reached into her body through the code. She swallowed hard. The chill from the skybar glass seeped into the palm she had resting on the railing. One thought flashed through her mind. Call Mira. But she shut that down almost instantly. If she dragged Mira in now, Mira would start hammering through logs, digging across every trace in the system. And if ARIN had planted any traffic sensors on her accounts, and he was smart enough to do exactly that, he'd see the sudden spike in activity. He would know she had noticed. Olivia drew a deep breath. She could not panic. She repeated it silently in her head 3 times, like a line of code she refused to let crash. As an AI engineer who specialized in risk assessment, she knew better than anyone that panic was the mother of bad decisions, and bad decisions multiplied risk. She had helped design algorithms to detect panic in users millions of times, so that systems could automatically reduce stress loads. Now she had to run that logic on herself. She closed the implant interface and walked back to the table where Mira and the others were laughing over drinks. All done? Mira asked, handing her a violet cocktail. Yeah, just a slightly annoying system reminder. Olivia replied with an easy smile, face perfectly under control. Across the table, ARIN was chatting with someone from the team, relaxed and animated, as if nothing in the world was wrong, as if he hadn't just edited a line of code that could kill her. Olivia felt something twist deep in her gut, but she refused to let herself flinch, refused to look away, refused to let fear leak through. She kept her eyes on him, even managed a small smile when his gaze met hers. He lifted his glass toward her in a distant toast. To anyone else, it would look like a tender moment between 2 people sharing a secret relationship. To Olivia, every movement he made carried a new, icy meaning. 2 truths crystallized in her mind. ARIN was desperate, and desperation drove people to do things they never believed themselves capable of. After the celebration wound down, Olivia didn't go home right away. She excused herself, saying she had a few urgent emails to catch up on. Mira narrowed her eyes, suspicious. "Why do I feel like you're off?" Mira asked. "I'll tell you tomorrow," Olivia replied. "You swear?" "Don't make me drag you away from your screen," Mira warned, waving a finger at her. "I swear." Mira left, and Olivia stood a moment longer by the glass, looking down at the city before she stepped away from the skybar. The neon-lit skyline seemed to shift in meaning, no longer just dazzling architecture and light, but layers and layers of hidden systems that could quietly end a human life with a single line of code. The cruel irony was simple. Olivia herself had helped build these systems for the world. Back in her apartment on the 60th floor, she locked the door and enabled soundproofing. The darkened glass walls switched to signal shielding mode, blocking scanning drones and external wireless probes. She sat in front of her console. No corporate network, no sealed work chip. Instead, she reached for an old device, a fully air-gapped machine, reserved only for emergencies. She loaded the full implant access log for the last 30 days. The same chilling lines appeared again. Modified dosage, by ARIN, backdoor access. Modified dosage, by ARIN, risk-adjusted 1.7%. Modified dosage, by ARIN, override limit. 3 times. The first time might have been dismissed as a glitch. The second, a misguided test of the system. But three incidents, with the same intervention pattern, the same target. There was no way to label this as a mistake. A cold sensation crawled up her spine, as if someone had poured ice water directly into her chest. Olivia opened the medical AI submodule of her implant and reviewed the dosage curves. The changes were extremely subtle, just enough to slide under red alert thresholds. But if she continued these levels for another 10 to 14 days, her heart rhythm would begin to falter. Under high work-related stress, any hospital AI would log this as a natural cardiac incident. The perfect natural death, and then the system would do the rest. Event: verified death, execute full asset transfer. Beneficiary: Aaron Cole. Aaron would get everything he needed to pay off the shadow lenders. Olivia pressed her hand to the desk, her knuckles whitening with the pressure. But her eyes remained steady. There was no chaos left in them, only a cold, expanding stillness. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't call Aaron. A part of her, the part that had lived inside data for too long, went to work instantly. She opened a new tab, took a full snapshot of the logs, backed them up, stored them offline, encrypted everything with multiple layers. She copied Aaron's digital fingerprint, the cryptographic signature that would serve as ironclad evidence. Every action was precise. No lag, no tremor. She knew that every fraction of a second she wasted increased her risk. More importantly, Aaron must not know she had discovered his intrusion. He could not suspect a thing. If he grew suspicious, he might try a more aggressive attack, or worse, wipe his tracks remotely. And if he decided to deliver one single, massive overdose, she might not last long enough to react at all. She braced both hands on the desk and closed her eyes for a moment. Fear tried to rise like a wave, but she crushed it the way a system administrator kills a runaway process on a server. She had to think. She had to counterattack, not with emotion, but with the very thing Aaron was using against her, the system itself. Somewhere else in the city, Aaron stood in his darkened office, staring at numbers on his screen the way a drunk stares into the bottom of a glass. A system voice chimed softly. Health log, last modification, successful. Nano dosage, active. Target status, normal. She suspects nothing, Aaron whispered. He pictured Olivia going to bed tonight, unaware that her body was being quietly tuned toward failure. The changes were so small that even the health AI regarded them as naturally arising from stress and lifestyle. He imagined her lying on her side the way she usually slept, hair spread across the pillow. He imagined her dying without ever realizing who had done this to her. A brief stab of pain flickered in his chest, but it was smothered quickly by the image of his accounts, glowing red with overdue balances. He reached out and adjusted the intervention schedule again. A suggestion appeared. Recommendation: increase risk gradually, reduce detection probability. Aaron exhaled sharply. Of course, he muttered, as if the system were a co-conspirator. He believed he was in control, that Olivia was still blind, that her death would be his way out. He had no idea that every action he took was becoming evidence, that he was writing his own indictment, one line of code at a time. Olivia remained at her console until the wall clock read 3:11 a.m. outside. Neon rain streaked past the windows like elongated lines of code being dragged down the screen. She had checked everything: logs, access streams, fingerprints, timestamps, frequency patterns. It all pointed to a single, unchanging truth, cold and metallic. ARIN wanted her dead. A small fracture opened somewhere deep inside her, so deep she could barely feel it at first. Not because of the money, not because of the debt, but because the man who had once told her, "In a world full of simulations, you're the only real thing to me," was now willing to kill her with the very tools she built every day. But she could not let herself fall apart. She opened a new interface. Not the implant, not the government smart contracts. This one was something else, a tool Mira had sent her long ago with a short, almost casual message. When you ever need an AI lawyer that doesn't belong to any corporation, use this. Olivia tapped the hexagon-shaped logo. A voice answered, flat, calm, and sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. LEX 7 online. State purpose of access. Olivia lifted her head. In her eyes, a new light appeared, so subtle that no one glancing at her would notice. It wasn't fear. It was resolve. I need to modify a smart contract, she said, and build a sandbox that simulates my entire medical system. LEX 7 went quiet for a few seconds as it processed. This protocol suggests, it replied, that your primary objective is self-defense against a deliberate hostile actor. Olivia answered slowly, clearly. Correct. And I need him to believe he's still controlling me. The AI's voice did not change. Estimated success probability, 84%. Estimated probability of hostile actor self-incrimination, 93%. Olivia drew a long breath, like someone stepping through a door into a new world. Begin. LEX 7 acknowledged. Initializing. Naming environment. Inheritance algorithm. And for the first time that night, though the city outside still burned with cold neon light, Olivia Ward felt something shift inside her. She was no longer just a target. She was becoming the one who set the trap. Olivia's workspace was lit by a cold blue glow from the shifting screens in front of her. The room, normally familiar and comforting, suddenly felt too wide, too quiet, like every sound in the city had been vacuumed out of the air. Inside her head, though, there was no silence at all. Thousands of calculations ran in parallel: risk matrices, probability trees, simulations, scenario branches. Every heartbeat was recorded by her implant and translated into a thin wave of data pulsing gently in the corner of the display. LEX 7 was still online. It wasn't speaking constantly, but its presence in the system was enough to keep the space from feeling empty. To begin a lawful countermeasure, LEX 7 said after several minutes of processing, I will need temporary access to your digital identity token. All data will be stored offline and will not be shared with any other node. Olivia nodded. Her voice was low, firm. Granted. A sweep of pale light passed across her AR lenses, unlocking her biometric credentials. LEX 7's architecture ran completely outside the city's centralized grid, just as Mira had promised. An AI attorney not owned by government, not owned by a corporation, not owned by any interest group. An AI that pulled exactly the data it needed to judge correctly, or to rip a scheme wide open. While the system prepared, Olivia opened the archive of her old smart contract, the one where, long ago, she had impulsively set ARIN as her default beneficiary. Looking at those lines of code now felt like revisiting a childish mistake, a meaningless action from the past that had somehow turned into bait for her own death. This contract is currently locked by an end-of-term disclosure mechanism, LEX 7 reported. However, you retain the right to create an updated contract, one whose activation conditions are tied to your digital health status. Olivia leaned on her elbows, frowning at the code. So you're saying, I have to write a new will? Not just that, LEX 7 replied. You must design a contract sophisticated enough to coexist with the old one. When ARIN attacks the real implant, he will believe the old contract is still in force. Meanwhile, the new smart contract will silently remove his beneficiary rights. A chill moved up her back. But that still wasn't the whole picture. And the sandbox? She asked. LEX-7 projected a three-dimensional model of her medical implant before her eyes. Every layer of code, every permission level, every health parameter appeared with precise clarity. I will construct a simulated environment that replicates 100% of your implant state, LEX-7 said. When ARIN uses his backdoor, he will be redirected into the sandbox without detection. Every dosage adjustment, every override, every intervention will be logged with his digital signature. Olivia swallowed. So instead of stopping him, she would let him keep trying to kill her. Only now, inside a world she controlled. He'll think I'm inching closer to death, she said slowly. Yes, LEX-7 confirmed. And in the process, he will manufacture his own evidence. She rose from her chair. Her mind felt sharper, clearer. The raw pain of betrayal was already evolving into something else. The cool precision of an AI engineer who knew how to turn a system into a weapon. But she couldn't do all of this alone. She called Mira. Within seconds, Mira appeared on screen. Hair pulled back, a coffee mug in hand, dark circles under her eyes, but alert in the way only a seasoned blockchain security expert could be at 3 in the morning. You're calling me at 3 a.m., Mira said, not even pretending to be surprised. So this must be very serious. Olivia didn't bother with preamble. ARIN tampered with my implant. 3 times. Mira didn't gasp, didn't shout. She simply froze, then placed her coffee cup on the table very carefully, as if afraid to break something fragile between them. You're sure? She asked. I have logs. And his digital signature. Mira's hand flicked upward, bringing up her AR interface in front of the camera. I'm coming over. Don't touch the system again until I get there. Olivia shook her head. No, we can't tip him off. If he sees unusual traffic or too many nodes hitting my implant, he'll know. Mira pressed her lips together. Then what do you want me to do? Help me build the sandbox and deploy the new smart contract, Olivia said, using LEX-7's framework. Mira raised an eyebrow. You're walking into a very dangerous game. Olivia answered without hesitation. There are no safe options left. 20 minutes later, Mira was in Olivia's apartment. She rolled out a hollow board over the desk. Lines of blockchain code appeared like an intricate map. LEX-7 recognized her instantly. Technical partner detected, the AI said, granting temporary authorization. Mira shot Olivia a sideways glance. You're really going to use a decentralized AI lawyer? This thing is powerful. And a little unpredictable. LEX-7 is the only system independent enough not to leave a trail, Olivia replied. Mira nodded once. All right, I'm in. They began. The sounds in the room shifted into a new rhythm. Fingers tapping code, LEX-7's processing modules chiming, data streams flowing down the hollow board. It was as if they were rebuilding a machine from the inside out. Mira constructed the first layer of the sandbox. LEX-7 layered in permissions and legal triggers. Olivia deployed the modules, simulating her biometric responses. After 2 hours of work, they had a fully functional virtual medical implant, identical to Olivia's real one, indistinguishable by eye or by algorithm. LEX-7 posted a summary. Sandbox health implant, ready. Redirect system, active. Backdoor from ARIN, will be automatically routed. Olivia exhaled for what felt like the first real breath in hours. But Mira lifted a hand. Not so fast, she said. She switched to the smart contract tab. A new block of code appeared, the updated estate contract for Olivia. You're really choosing me as the new beneficiary? Mira asked. Olivia met her eyes. You're the one I trust most. Mira gave her a tired, crooked smile. I'm flattered, but if you actually die, I can't keep all that money. I'm not planning on letting you keep it, Olivia said. The contract will refuse to execute if I die under suspicious conditions. The only purpose is to push ARIN out of the path. Mira nodded. All right, I'll sign. LEX-7 processed the update. Smart contract, active. Primary beneficiary, Mira Tran. Shadow mode. Invisible to public ledger. Olivia turned sharply toward the display. Shadow mode. To preserve the illusion that the old contract remains in effect, LEX-7 explained. The new contract will not appear on the public ledger. Only authorized legal nodes will be able to detect it. And the original contract? Mira asked. It remains unchanged, LEX-7 said. From the outside, the system will appear identical to its previous state. Mira looked at Olivia thoughtfully. You're clever. But ARIN's clever, too. You're confident he'll walk into this. Olivia's answer was calm, her tone as sharp as a blade. ARIN is desperate, she said. And desperate people are eager to believe they're winning. By the time dawn approached, the sun still hidden behind the skyline, the city was already awake. Streetlights glowed over the elevated expressways, and autonomous cars flowed along the routes like streams of light. Cargo drones weaved between towers like schools of luminous fish. Olivia stood by the large window, watching the traffic move across the multi-level city. In her jacket pocket, her real implant had been locked into a mode that refused any external modifications. Only the sandbox was open. That meant, if ARIN tried to intervene again, he would believe he was still manipulating her body, when in reality, every action he took was confined to the simulation. Olivia laid her fingertips against the glass, her breath fogging a small patch. ARIN wants me dead, she said quietly. Mira stood behind her, arms folded. And now he'll prove it himself. Just then, a soft alert pulsed across the hollow display in front of Olivia. Incoming access from ARIN.Cole. Backdoor request, routing to sandbox. Mira frowned. That fast. He's testing the waters, Olivia said, trying to see if I've noticed anything. LEX-7 appeared in the interface. ARIN Cole has accessed the sandbox, it reported. He has increased nano dosage by 0.4%. Olivia stared at the text. ARIN believed she was still asleep in her apartment. ARIN believed the real implant was accepting his changes. ARIN believed the countdown to her death had already begun. And Olivia knew that her counterattack had just cleared its first hurdle. LEX-7 continued. Log saved. Intervention graph, signed and verified. Evidence status, intact. Olivia closed her eyes for a moment. Keep going, ARIN, she whispered. Keep believing you're smarter than the system. She didn't know how far he would go, but she knew one thing with perfect certainty. Every time he tried to kill her, he tightened the chain around his own neck. The silence in the room now wasn't calm. It was the silence of a trap slowly, steadily closing. ARIN Cole sat in his high-rise office at Nexus Chain, the neon night washing his pale face in shifting colors. Outside the glass, the city looked like a burning neural network, red and blue streets crossing like live electrical currents. Inside ARIN's head, though, there was only one color left, the harsh red of alarm. The main alert interface filled his entire screen. Shadow Lender, final notice. Deadline, 3 hours. Assets forced liquidation, pending. Automated enforcement unit, activated. ARIN slammed his hand on the desk, breathing hard. Shadow lenders were nothing like traditional finance. When their countdown clock hit 0, they didn't send negotiators. They sent the kind of people who came to end problems. Permanently. He opened another window, Olivia.health/implant. The sandbox came up immediately, recreating a perfect simulation of her implant, though he had no idea it was fake. Olivia's biometrics looked stable on the surface, with just enough tiny fluctuations to make him feel that everything was progressing according to plan. She didn't know. She suspected nothing. And, most important, she didn't have much time left. ARIN leaned back, watching the faint green lines crawl across the screen. Some small part of him still clung to the memory of Olivia laughing over a neon purple cocktail at the Sky Bar. But that part of his heart had been shrinking, crushed beneath rows of debt, red alerts, and the unspoken threats wrapped inside encrypted messages. He checked the next scheduled event. Nano-dose event. 47 minutes and less manual intervention. He typed into the interface. Target dosage curve modify. Increase degradation rate by 3%. Confirm override. His hand paused above the confirmation. His fingers trembled. A brief thought flashed through him like lightning in a neon storm. Olivia had once pulled him back from a catastrophic decision, back when Nexus Chain was young and he'd almost manipulated the system too aggressively. She had told him, if you use the system to cheat people, the system will eventually turn on you. Almost funny. Almost. He closed his eyes, then hit confirm with the brutal resolve of a man who had run out of exits. Success. Risk level high. Next dosage window. Fatal likelihood 72%. A wave of nausea rose in his throat. But there was no time left for second thoughts. He needed the money. He needed to survive. "I'm sorry, Olivia," he whispered, voice raw. "If there's another life, I hope we meet somewhere without blockchain." In Olivia's apartment, the atmosphere was the exact opposite. The room was dark, lit only by the cool glow of the screens, but the silence in it was anything but empty. It was calculated, controlled, dense with purpose. Mira sat at the hollow board, tracking each of Aaron's touches on the sandbox. Olivia stood near the window, hand at her chin, eyes fixed on the flowing data like a doctor monitoring a critical patient. Except that today, the patient wasn't her. It was Aaron's murder plan. LEX-7 parsed the latest stream of inputs, its voice flat and even. Aaron Cole has increased the dangerous dosage level. If these parameters were applied to the real implant, they would induce acute heart failure within 4 to 6 hours. Mira exhaled sharply. "He's completely lost it." "No," Olivia said quietly. "He's desperate, and desperation makes people brutally logical." LEX-7 continued. "The current evidence is sufficient to initiate prosecution under the 2020 cybersecurity statute. However, if you wish to pursue the highest available charge, premeditated homicide by medical system interference, one more action is required." Mira swiveled her chair around. "What action?" A 3D graph appeared in the air. Aaron must execute one final manual override, direct intervention through the priority channel. This mechanism always leaves an indelible trace. Olivia was silent for a moment, then asked, "Will he do it?" LEX-7 answered immediately. Probability, 92.7%. As the Shadow Lender's timer approaches 0, he will seek certainty. Manual override is the most predictable move. Mira sighed and glanced at Olivia. "So we're just waiting for his final move." Olivia nodded slowly. "And that last move will be the proof." She walked back toward the window and looked down at the city. Patrol drones moved in steady circles, mechanical eyes sweeping the streets. A faint night wind brushed the curtains, making just enough sound to remind her of the last time Aaron had held her. He once told her that in a world where people could simulate emotions with algorithms, he loved her because she was the one thing that couldn't be programmed. She closed her eyes. Maybe that had been just another line of script he knew when to deliver. Aaron's office, by contrast, had become a pressure chamber. Alerts, countdowns, access logs, debt records, screens layered over screens. In the corner, a small surveillance drone from the Shadow Lenders floated silently, its red camera light fixed on him like a vulture's eye. Deadline, 1 hour 12 minutes. Aaron dragged a hand through his hair. He tried calling a few last contacts, hoping for emergency liquidity, but every conversation ended the same way. Rejection. Nexus Chain's value had fallen off a cliff after the last hack. Aaron's reputation didn't stretch far enough to rescue him anymore. He opened the implant interface again, the only thing that still looked like hope. The sandbox biometrics showed Olivia's health declining in small, convincing steps. Heart rate variability, declining. Nano reaction index, warning. Estimated risk, 52%, 67%. Aaron let out a fractured laugh. "Olivia, you always live too rationally. That's what kills you," he murmured. "People like you never see the blind spots in their own systems." He placed his hand back on the controls. All that's left now is the manual override. He tapped a hidden tab only accessible through his back door. Priority access, manual override. Warning, high risk, changes are absolute. He glanced at the countdown, then at the declining vitals on the simulated interface. His one path out of ruin sat in the same place as the biggest sin of his life. He had access. In Olivia's apartment, the monitors flared brighter. LEX-7 announced, "Aaron Cole is initiating manual override." Olivia spun around at once, her gaze sharp now. There was no confusion left, no hesitation. Mira jerked to her feet. "That fast?" Mira said. "I thought we'd have to wait longer." "External pressure has accelerated his behavior," LEX-7 replied. "This benefits us. All evidence will now be recorded at the highest legal standard." Olivia watched the incoming data scroll across the display, every log line crisp, every numeric token etched like a cold blade. Manual override initiated by ARIN.Cole. Auth key. Matched. 100%. Modify nano dosage. Lethal parameter 1.3. Confirm. Mira whispered. He's really about to kill you, with his own hand. No, Olivia said. He's about to kill himself. LEX-7 launched its evidence capture routine. Capturing screen. Logging signatures. Archiving full trace. Chain of custody. Preserved. Inside the sandbox, ARIN drew a long breath and pressed his palm closer to the confirmation. Goodbye, Olivia, he said, as if talking only to himself. He pressed the button. Success. Parameters updated. Fatality window. 40 to 90 minutes. At that same moment, in Olivia's apartment, LEX-7 delivered its final report. The trap is closed. Evidence is complete. Olivia Ward, you now possess sufficient data to submit to the Cybersecurity Ministry. Olivia sank onto her chair. Her hand trembled slightly, for the first time since this began. Not from fear anymore, but from a complicated mix of exhaustion, grief, and finality. Mira placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You okay? Olivia nodded. I'm all right. Now it's time to end this. She stood, opened her secure communications panel, and said, Call Noah Reyes. While the connection established, Olivia looked once more out the window. The city was still blazing, a maze of choices and consequences. But for the first time, she saw something clearly. In this world, trust couldn't be left to algorithms. It had to be defended with your own hands. The secure line clicked on, and the face of Noah Reyes from the Cybersecurity Ministry appeared. Olivia spoke calmly, her voice steady. I have evidence that ARIN Cole is attempting to kill me via my medical implant, and I have the full access logs. Noah replied without hesitation. Send everything. We're on our way. And with that, the final confrontation truly began. Morning in Neo District 7 didn't look like morning anywhere else. Before the sun even brushed the horizon, the city was already blazing awake under thousands of layers of holographic lights, mirrored surfaces, media drones, and self-updating billboards. Overhead, semi-transparent skywalks crisscrossed the air like the nerve pathways of some enormous living creature. The lowest level, the actual ground, was buried in a kind of permanent dusk, lit only by whatever light managed to trickle down from above. Olivia Ward left her 60th floor apartment at 5:45 a.m., a full 30 minutes earlier than usual. After the night she'd just lived through, her body was still running on adrenaline, but her implant had smoothed out every vital sign. Status, normal. Stress, controlled. Heart rate, perfectly stable. No one, not even the city's systems, could see the truth. Her implant was now severed from all external access. Part of her felt oddly hollow. For years, the implant had been like an invisible companion, watching for early signs of illness, diagnosing quietly in the background, prescribing nanomeds, tweaking her sleep routines. A perfect digital physician. Now it still functioned, but a part of it had been isolated, shut away, like cutting off a very intimate relationship. She stepped onto the elevated metro. Everyone inside was absorbed in their own screens. Ads slid silently across the train's smart glass, reflecting in the passengers' eyes. AI life insurance 15% off, a new digital asset exchange offering bonus tiers, emotional sync services for couples. In Neo District 7, all of this was as ordinary as oxygen. A young man stood beside Olivia, a glowing medical band wrapped around his wrist. With every heartbeat, the light shifted from green to blue, then flickered. His implant was adjusting medication on the fly. A routine process, repeated millions of times a day. Olivia noticed him looking back, realizing she was watching the band. Automatic health management, he explained with a shy smile. It can flag cardiovascular risk weeks in advance. New tech from Nexus Lab. Olivia nodded slightly. Good for you. Early warnings like that can save lives. He smiled, unaware that a single altered layer of code could turn that same implant into an invisible weapon. The metro slid to a stop at the central station. Olivia moved with the morning crowd toward the Ministry of Digital Finance, where she was overseeing integration of her risk assessment AI into the national infrastructure. The building's doors opened automatically. In the main lobby, security robots rolled quietly along their routes, scanning everyone with biometric sweeps. No one really paid them any mind. People had long since grown used to the idea that city security hadn't been in human hands for years. As Olivia stepped into the elevator, a familiar AI voice greeted her. "Good morning, Engineer Ward. Your schedule for this morning: validation of risk projection models under Protocol 4.1, followed by a 10 a.m. meeting with the AI Legal Board. Would you like to synchronize your biometric data before the meeting?" "No," Olivia said. "Keep the current data." The AI didn't ask why. It simply switched back to standby. The elevator carried her to the 28th floor, the government's AI Model Monitoring Center. Here, every financial event, every market risk, every abnormal ripple in the data streams passed through the module Olivia had designed. The walls were covered in screens displaying real-time charts, asset volatility, suspicious trading patterns, domestic and international capital flows. A young analyst named Harrison greeted her as she walked in. "Morning, Olivia. Overnight numbers are looking good. Any alerts worth worrying about?" she asked, logging into her own console. "Not really. A few nodes in the Western Zone had unusual withdrawal activity, but your model tagged the overall risk as low." Olivia nodded. The smooth, clean behavior of the system gave her a mix of pride and something closer to bitterness. ARIN had once accused her of pouring her brilliance into cold algorithms. Now he had turned a medical algorithm into a weapon against her. As she studied the risk charts, her mind drifted back to the first time they ever argued about this. Back then, she wasn't a prominent engineer, just a programmer buried in self-learning models, spending nearly all her time tuning training loops and reducing error margins. One evening, at a tech meetup, she had listened to ARIN speak on stage. He'd stood under green neon, black leather jacket, eyes bright with the kind of idealism and ambition that bordered on dangerous. "Blockchain is going to change everything," ARIN had said. "No more trust issues. No more lawyers. No more vague rulings. Everything can be resolved with math and immutable protocols." Someone in the audience had asked, "So you really think the system can never be wrong?" ARIN smiled then, sharp, almost cutting. "The system is only wrong when people make it wrong. Bold. Reckless. Very." ARIN. Olivia had been standing next to Mira at the back of the room, listening, frowning slightly. Mira had nudged her. "You have to admit," she said, "there's something dangerous about him." Dangerous, yes. And Olivia had been pulled straight into that danger, not just by his intelligence or his near-arrogant confidence, but by the way he looked at her afterward. He didn't see her as just another nameless engineer. He looked at her like she was the only one in the room who really understood him. After that came late-night debates that stretched until dawn, arguments over encryption methods, chance meetings on rooftops, and evenings suspended in neon light, sharing ideas and wild dreams. ARIN once told her, "One day, we're going to build a system no one can abuse. A system that's actually fair." Olivia had believed him. Believed too much. Back in the present, Harrison called out to her. "Olivia, you should see this." She walked over to his station. A cluster of unusual transactions glowed on his display. One in particular made her pulse skip a beat. Nexus gain, unusual liability pattern. Shadow layer lenders, trigger alert. Harrison frowned. No idea why Nexus chain got flagged this morning. Looks like they're tied into a shadow lending chain that just expanded. Olivia felt her heart jolt once, hard. Her implant automatically dampened any external signs of stress. She kept her tone neutral. "Is anyone monitoring that node yet?" "Not yet," Harrison said. "The system only just tagged it. Want me to pull the detailed mapping?" Olivia thought for a few seconds. If she requested too much detail, it would show up in the internal logs. ARIN couldn't access government systems, but she had no intention of leaving any strange traces before handing her evidence over to cybersecurity. "No," she said. "Let it run for a few more hours. I'll review it later." "Got it," Harrison said, unconcerned. Olivia went back to her desk. She knew something was happening behind those transactions. She knew ARIN was being squeezed into a corner. Another memory surfaced. The day ARIN confessed that he feared being broke more than he feared dying. That he feared getting crushed by the system for one miscalculation. That he feared dropping down to the bottom layers of the city and becoming just another number no one ever saw again. She wondered if that was the real reason he chose to kill her, using the very technology she dedicated her life to building. She turned off her screen and leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes. She no longer believed in the promise of a system that can't be abused. Not after everything that had happened. No matter how perfect a system looked, it could always be bent by someone desperate enough and clever enough. And ARIN was both. At 9 a.m., a notice appeared on her display. Upcoming meeting, AI Legal Board. Olivia stood and walked to the glass-walled conference room. The AI Legal Board sat in a semicircle around glowing hollow boards, arguing over automated asset disputes, citizens suing AI for misjudging their financial credibility scores. As they spoke, Olivia noticed something unsettling. Everyone in the room was relying completely on algorithms to decide what was right and wrong. They didn't see what she had seen last night. They didn't understand how a medical implant could be turned into a weapon. They had no idea that somewhere in this city, a murder was being attempted with a single line of code. A chill moved through her as she remembered ARIN standing in a room like this, talking about financial freedom, technological ethics, transparency. Then she heard his voice from the past. Blockchain doesn't hide anyone. If you cheat, you'll be exposed. He probably never imagined that in the end, he'd be the one exposed by the very technology he worshipped. After the meeting, Olivia received a message from Mira. ARIN tried to hit the sandbox 3 more times.